ZTE's foldable smartphone has finally made it to market. The Axon M is made of two screens held together by a single hinge, with metal and glass comprising the bulk of its construction. Speaking of bulk, it's a pretty hefty phone with more than a few ergonomic hurdles to overcome. Packing a Snapdragon 821 with 4GB of RAM and a 20-megapixel camera, the Axon M sells for $725 on AT&T. Today, we analyze whether this unique, near-flagship contender is executed well enough to carve its own niche, or if it only proves itself to be a low-value gimmick. The Axon M is obviously a unique device in terms of design. Innovative? Not really, but certainly unique for its two-screen implementation. Manufactured from glass and metal, the device is sharp, bulky, and weighty. Holding this phone in any orientation will take some getting used to. As a regular candy bar device, all the controls are on the left side of the phone, as the hinge takes up the entire right side. This includes the fingerprint sensor, which for righties will require you to scan either your ring or middle finger, as opposed to your thumb, like we saw on Sony phones with side-mounted biometrics. This placement can be a little tricky at first, especially with such a bulky phone, and being such a small and awkward target, it leaves little room for error. For instance, we could almost never use the fingerprint sensor if our hands were the least bit sweaty. In terms of ergonomics and in-hand feel, things don't improve much when folding out the second display. In landscape position, the bezels provide enough space for you to hold the Axon M comfortably and use the two screens as one, which is ideal for scrolling through Facebook and general web browsing. Unfortunately, most games and videos only play in portrait mode when extending the screens, leaving your hands in an awkward position for gaming and the black bar right in the middle of your videos. Large detriments to arguably two of the most desired features for a large screen experience. Gaming is especially disappointing since portrait mode makes the screen too tall and the on-screen controls harder to reach from any angle, making regular single-screen gaming the most desirable option. Hopefully ZTE and app developers can figure out an easy way to create a lower screen gamepad, with the top screen displaying the game. Otherwise, extended mode works just fine in situations where you can hold the device with one hand and manipulate it with the other. The quick launch button can activate the camera with a double click or launch TV mode with a single click. TV mode simply launches the video service of your choice, but we often found ourselves accidentally clicking it when using the phone in landscape. Other minor quirks you'll encounter include a flashlight that will immediately blind you, and a camera you activate on one screen, then use on the other. More on that later though. Each 5.2 display on the Axon M has a 1080p resolution, with a combined size of 6.75 inches measured diagonally when the phone is unfolded. While details were generally well represented, with very good viewing angles to match, the thin film transistor display could lean towards a yellowish hue. Furthermore, our unit seemed to have a slightly dimmer secondary display compared to the main screen. When watching videos in extended mode, you can't help but lament the obtrusive black bar placed smack dab in the middle of your content. Otherwise, we did enjoy using the screens independently to view separate media or mirror the same content for another viewer. The Axon M's interface is built on Android 7.1.2, but thankfully ZTE is guaranteeing an update to Oreo. Erring more on the side of stock Android, it's not particularly beautiful, nor objectionably ugly. Of course, the most unique aspect of the UI is shown when using both screens. In the navbar exists an additional soft key, the letter M, which toggles the multiple modes for dual screen use. These modes include single mode, where only the main screen is activated, dual mode, which enables the utilization of two independent screens and multiple instances of certain apps, such as Google Docs, extended mode, which we mentioned earlier, stretches content across both displays, as if the phone had one huge display, and mirror mode, which duplicates the same content on each screen. As mentioned earlier, extended mode was pleasant for browsing Facebook, YouTube, or the good old-fashioned internet, but gaming and watching videos suffered more detriments in formatting and ergonomics than the extra space was worth. Dual mode is easily the most functional use of the two screens, allowing users to truly multitask like a pro. The additional ability to open separate Google Docs on each screen makes a strong case for productivity on the go, while regular browsing and app use gains the space and separation of two independent screens, which allows for more breathing room and a vastly improved multitasking experience. A set of gestures exist to facilitate this experience as well. In dual mode, swiping across the two screens with 3 fingers will swap the content between them. In the same mode, you can swipe one finger to the right across the nav bar to extend the leftmost app to full screen mode. Then when finished, you can swipe left to bring back the second app and split the screens once again. In terms of performance and fluidity, general navigation will serve you decently well. Apps typically open quickly and swapping is just as prompt. Unfortunately, toggling screen modes can often be a stuttery and unresponsive affair. Taking some time to refine the transitions and speed up reaction times would be much appreciated, as there never seems to be an instance when lag and unresponsiveness aren't a factor. Sitting right up front to the left of the earpiece is the 20-megapixel camera and its accompanying dual flash. As mentioned, this is the sole camera, which means you must flip the device around after opening the camera app, even if you're about to take a selfie. In such an instance, you must open the camera app as usual, allow it to activate the rear screen as the viewfinder, Tap the front-facing toggle, then turn the device back around to take a selfie with the main screen, now acting as the viewfinder. Generally, it's quite annoying and cumbersome to deal with this configuration when taking any kind of picture. In terms of image quality, the camera is a bit of a letdown. Theoretically, 20 megapixels could capture detail well, but motion blur and insufficient exposure are often a problem, and the fact that the camera lacks optical stabilization doesn't help either. 4K videos captured on the Axon M showed much of the same. Calls revealed a quieter earpiece than we'd like, but the dual speaker setup projects speakerphone calls loud and clear. Dolby Atmos Hi-Fi gets louder than you'd need for most situations, but avoids distortion and delivers clarity to match its decibel output. Packing a 3180 mAh battery, the Axon M seems to have little issue getting through a full day of mixed use, and fared moderately well in our custom battery drain test, lasting for almost 7 hours. Recharge times were also pleasing, quick charging from 0 to 100 in only an hour and 23 minutes. Wireless charging, of course, is a feature missing from this double-sided phone. So what we seem to have here is a mediocre phone with rather slapdash execution of its marquee feature. Games can't take advantage of the dual screens in any useful way, and videos are pretty disappointing with a black bar in the middle. Multitasking is of course the most useful application for the two-screen experience, and gestures to switch between screen modes are useful, but often slow and unresponsive. Browsing the web or using certain apps in extended mode, while bigger, don't necessarily fit more information. These are all functions of the Axon M's lack of support for formatting, as well as its lack of software to take full advantage of the two screens in unique and valuable ways. The bottom line is, if you can get past its inherent ergonomic drawbacks and underperforming camera, and are okay with its minimal gains in functionality, then this may be the device for you. Just know that at $725, and with bigger infinity screens getting squeezed into smaller devices, you'll be losing more than you gain. I'm Corey Gaskin with PhoneArena. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for our latest reviews.